Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Quark, a Minecraft mod by Vazkii. Today's module will be covering a lot of the miscellaneous items that could not be fit quite easily into other categories. As before, by hitting escape, you can then choose Q, and you can see your miscellaneous tab here, which of course consists of a couple pages. So to start off with, I'm going to show you Ancient Tomes. I have installed another mod on top of this to better illustrate what is going on here, and that mod that I installed is Random Things, which allows me to actually generate loot chests very easily to obtain things like the Ancient Tomes, which, as you can see here, I have several of the Ancient Tomes, each of which are at a maximum level rating as regards to the enchantment. In order to find those, I have it set up where this will generate a random chest from a regular simple Minecraft dungeon, and you have a decent chance of finding these in there. If not, then that's why I kind of have this set up here. Now, I have gone through a few chests, but here you go. I have found one here with a maximum level. Lure 3, obviously it's going to be used on a fishing rod, but I have Feather Falling 4 here as an example. Now, if I take a similarly enchanted Feather Falling book, it can therefore be useful, and of course with a pair of boots. Now, if I were to take this and try and put boots with the Feather Falling 4 Ancient Tome on here, nothing happens. Reason being is that these tomes are intended to be used with enchanted books of the similar level, therefore giving you one more level higher. Feather Falling 5 in this case. And yes, it will work with many other different kinds of enchantments. But it will cost you 35 levels in order to do this. I am in creative, so therefore it costs me nothing. But I can put this on my boots now, and it will cost an additional 35 levels. So this is not exactly a cheap way of going about doing things. But it is a way of getting an additional level and further enchanting things for yourself. Next up here, we have Animal Poisoning, which isn't quite as bad as it sounds. Allow me to grab a couple different mob eggs, if you will. I have cows and pigs, just because it's going to be easier to work with them. And I am, as before, in creative, so keep that in mind. Just by double-clicking on one, I can therefore have a baby cow spawned. Now, if I feed this baby cow a poisonous potato, you see here it says growing time, and you can see in the top left there it is currently ticking down. If I give this little guy a poison potato, there we go. I had to give him a whole bunch of them. Eventually, you'll end up poisoning him, and if he survives, the growing time stops. You now notice that in the top there, it is currently stuck at 11.99. So you will now have a permanent baby to spawn in your area. So therefore, if I try and give this little pigoo here, this baby pig here, a whole bunch of these until he becomes poisoned, or it becomes poisoned, as I don't know if it's male or female. There we go. Growing time freezes, and you now have a permanent baby pigoo of your own. Just to further emphasize this, I'm going to leave these two here in the cage. Hopefully they don't end up getting killed by accident while I'm continuing on with the next section. Colored runes, which actually brings me back to this area here. You look here, I have colored rune. And I also have another loot generator so that I can better illustrate this. This one is set up with nether chests, and yes, the chests and treasure type will vary for each of these, the rainbow runes and the tomes that you may find as before, so it depends on the area that you go with. In this case, I'm using the nether bridge one because it does tend to be a little bit more common in the nether ones that you will find some kind of rune that will be part of Quark. Now, what do these do? These allow you a special enchantment. In fact, let's grab both of these items here. If I were to take this and put a diamond axe here and add this on here, you can see nothing really happens. Reason being that you need to have an enchantment already on here. Let's put an enchantment on this, and then let's add this on here. And now you'll see that it actually does do something. Let's switch it up with the rainbow one. What happens, well, you see here that the shimmer of the enchantment actually changes accordingly. Let's make this one white. Therefore, I can now have a white enchantment sword here, or axe that you can see very clearly. It is not the traditional purplish haze that you might usually get from Minecraft. And if I wanted to, I could actually kind of craft one of these. Well, allow me to further demonstrate. In order to craft the rainbow rune, you therefore need one of each of these ones, and you'll need to find them in different chests in order to do that, because or you could have them basically crafted, which is not exactly easy. You'd need to have cave crystals of the appropriate color in order to make those. For instance, let's go with orange. So I'd need orange cave crystals around a stone in order to make them. You're more likely to find them in chests, but if you do find a cave that has these cave crystals, that is definitely one way of doing it. And of course, the rainbow crystal, or the rainbow rune, will consist of one of each of the different colors. Will get you 7 runes in return of the rainbow runes themselves, which is just really, really cool. And just to further demonstrate, yes, you can re-enchant this a second time with more colors, or different colors if you so desired, so that you can have it be a different color if you messed up on the original colorization. Oh, and as a quick side note, it doesn't have to be a tool or weapon, it can be armor as well that you can enchant. But let's continue on to the next one, and that is going to be dragon scales. These will drop from the Ender Dragon, but not the first one. So therefore, if you go in and fight the Ender Dragon, the first time he dies, or she or it dies, I'm going to say she because it drops an egg, the first time she dies, she won't drop dragon scales. But every time that you therefore respawn the Ender Dragon, she should feasibly drop a dragon scale, which can be used for making elytras. For example, you first have to have an elytra. If you take your elytra and a dragon scale, you can therefore make a new elytra. And don't worry, your old one stays there. Whether I'm in creative or not, it still exists. And if I take a damaged one even, that has already been made from an original elytra with another dragon scale, it will make you a brand new one. So therefore, you can feasibly renew making elytras had you already made one yourself, and it's only at the cost of defeating the Ender Dragon a second time. And this section here is a little bit more interesting and very rare. In fact, it involves ender mites. So as you can see here, I have a purpur block in the center. Not purpur pillars, not purpur stairs, but a purpur block. And it's not consisting of 2 different slabs either. It is just a regular purpur block. Now, if I have ender mites in the area, let's drop 1 on here. Now, nothing is likely to happen for quite some time because it's rare that this would happen. So therefore, I'm going to spawn a whole bunch more. And therefore, you'll see eventually one of them will burrow into the purpur block like a silverfish would into stone, and transform it into something new. That being one of these guys here. There we go, a shulker. He did not like falling into the lava as the rest of those endermites just did, and therefore you now have made yourself your own little shulker guy. And that's pretty much it. Endermites will now burrow into purpur blocks and create shulkers. And yes, they will still drop the same drops as a regular shulker would. Alright, so enough about shulkers. Let's get into the next section, which concerns arrows. There are 3 new arrow types. Well, kind of. 3 new arrows, not customizable arrows. Like, I guess. I don't know. You can make new ones with potions as well, but let's grab each of these here. We have the 3 new types, which is an ender arrow, which is made with an ender pearl and an arrow, and it works just the same way as an ender pearl does if you throw it, except you can shoot it with a bow, so therefore a little bit more accuracy, a little bit more distance, and you can get a really good hit away. Now, I am in creative, so therefore I am not actually taking damage, but you would take damage from this teleport. And of course, you can shoot it at yourself, whatever. Hopefully that doesn't land in lava. No, it didn't. Okay. The next thing that I have here is a little bit more destructive, and that is an explosive arrow. A couple pieces of gunpowder and an arrow will make you basically TNT arrows. So if I shoot these, you can see that it will do the damage as you would expect if you were launching TNT out a launcher, but it's at the tips of your bow arrow. So it's at your arrow tips if you want, and you can really make a big mess with that, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. Now the last one is probably the most useful, and it is simply torch arrows. You just take torches and arrows and you get a torch arrow, and it's basically going to make you boop a torch. And yes, these still do damage when they hit enemies. If you hit something that doesn't accept a torch, it will pop off and drop a torch on the ground. So therefore you can get your torch back at least, if not the arrow. And it's just really cool that you can therefore launch a torch into an area of darkness far ahead of you, therefore lighting it up much easier. A quick side note about these 3 new arrow types is that, well, they are not affected by infinity. I am in creative, so therefore I am not using up arrows, but if I was in regular survival, I would have used these up regardless of the infinity enchantment, because these require other materials, therefore they will be used upon firing. Now, I did speak about some other different types of arrows, and that is because there are different types of potions now. We have a few different kinds. We've got a potion of haste, which is basically made with prismarine at this point, therefore allowing you a modicum of mining faster. And of course, it comes in your traditional, like regular, haste, haste 2, or a longer haste, and then of course your splash potion and your lingering potion version. And you can also switch it up and turn it into mining fatigue, and you have your your traditional drinking potion, splash potion, and lingering potion as well by adding fermented spider eyes to it. Therefore, you've got a haste potion, just add fermented spider eye, make yourself one of these, throw it down, and people can't mine blocks very fast anymore. It's very, very sad. But we do have other things, and that involves a potion of fortitude, which will give you resistance. This is pretty darn good. Depending if you have this turned on, Ender Biotite, remember that is in a different section, therefore if that is not currently turned on, it will default to Nether Quartz if you have this turned on. And therefore you can still make potions of fortitude. And they come in all your standard vanilla styles as well. And of course, those are the 2 different items that you might be able to use. First, you would use Ender Biotite. There is no use of quartz if you're using Ender Biotite. So, and next to that we have Potion of Danger Sight, which is a little bit more unique. Allow me to grab one of these, and it might better illustrate. But if you use a glow shroom that you would find in an underground cavern or something like that, or if that module is disabled, it will then substitute clownfish for that, unless you turn off Miscellaneous itself. But if I use this, you can see that the ground is kind of like all crazy like. What is going on? But then when I get over here, everything seems fine over by all these light sources, right? Well, that's because creatures can spawn, or mobs can spawn on these surfaces. And that is what this is telling you, is that you now have kind of a spawn site. You can see things where they're going to spawn. And it's all basically going to line up with other mods that you might have. Let me put this overlay on in place. If you don't want that to be in place, but you wanted people to still have the opportunity to be able to make a Potion of Danger Sight, this would be something that would be a bit more immersive in this case. Therefore, you can see that the ground is more prone to evil manifestations. Okay, so here we have it. One of the most controversial options in Quark, at least in my experience. And it's not stairs. It's just using stairs as an example. It's the letter K, at least in this case. A lot of people will sometimes, on occasion, hit something on the keyboard. And where's this square? How do I get this cube on my screen? Oh my gosh, I'm going to freak out because it's there forever. And you can, wait, what? What is it doing? It is switching around. I can keep hitting K, and it kind of rotates a little bit. And when I hover over a different block, it rotates again. Basically, this will allow you to, let's place down this. If I hit K, you can see that it will allow me to kind of change how the block is. I can actually aim to different locations and change how it will place. So if I go around here and place this other stair, boop, you notice it's the same way. It will lock in place. However, I place this stair, it will lock it to that. So therefore, no matter what, I can place these things and they're all going to be in the same way, shape, or form as the original one until I switch it up again. In which case it's going to, I just inverted it in this case. Just as you saw there, it kind of went from the bottom right little square to the top right square, or the little shaded area. And therefore it will now invert to the upside down. Oh, it's craziness. And then you press it again and it goes away, and then you can actually switch up the style that you have it going at that point and return to your normal vanilla style. So it's just a really cool way of locking something in place so that you don't have to constantly have to keep trying to face something, place, face, place, face, place, and so on as you're trying to, on a precarious situation, do all this. Instead, you can just use the letter K, which hopefully won't have any key conflicts, and you can therefore lock it in place and place things so much easier. And here we have map markers. Map markers are pretty cool, but they're also permanent. So to give an example, I've got a map. All right, let's head towards the rest of this stuff. Oh, there we go. I am now on the map. Let's see if I can actually aim down here. I see a little tiny white dot. Let's go check this out here and there. Okay, if it weren't for the fact that I knew that this was here, I wouldn't know necessarily to go to this spot. So let me grab this, and you should see that I now have an ink sac in my inventory. If I were to take this map, and actually here, let's stand on this button, because that's what I want to highlight, the button, the location of the button. If I take this ink sac and therefore do this, wherever I'm standing, it will now place a little X on that area. So then there you go. I now have a little X, marks the spot for this secret that I just built for somebody to check out. So I press the button, and what happens? Hey, it says hi. That's pretty cool. And now if I click it again, it goes away. That's simple. But there you go. I mean, it's just something so that you can mark on a map. It is permanent. You'd have to get a new map if you don't want this on here. So therefore, now in the future that might change, but for now, that's pretty much it. All right, this next one can be really good for pranking. Really good. And trust me, I know I've had it done to me. Thank you very much, Robin. Now, if I show you guys this, if you put a skull on a note block, then whatever, of course, the appropriate note that it is on top of will give you different like notes and stuff as you right-click on one of these things. But and this also leads into the next bit. Ignore that there's all these different things here right now. But I can demonstrate that this note block basically makes skull sounds or skeleton sounds. This one here can make all sorts of wither skeleton sounds. This one here will, of course, zombies, and then the dreaded hiss noise. And last but not least, you've got your dragon sounds. You know, so if you have a skull or a head of a creature that you can place on one of these things, that's what Quark allows, is the different sounds to different frequencies according to what the block is placed on. And if you noticed, of course you did, this little interface here, you can actually... So I can choose the different types on here. And I also was using my keyboard when I hover this. Notice my mouse is holding still? To choose the different keys as well. So you can actually play this if you wanted to, whether it be notes or not. You know, with monster heads. So that's two different ones. The monster note blocks is one of them, and the note block interface is the other. And yes, other players will hear you using this, and if you wanted to, you can just hold sneak and interface with the block as you normally would in vanilla mechanics if you don't like this UI to choose with. And this next section deals with birds. In fact, parrots. Scary, scary parrots. I'm going to take some of these things here in hopes that everything goes as it should. I'm going to therefore start making one of these. Come here, come here. We're going to keep you nearby. You too. We're going to keep this going. There we go. See, I knew that they were going to try and fly off. It's just in their nature to do so for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just randomly spawning them in using the vanilla parrot spawning option. And what this is going to allow you to do is, with Quark, you can therefore make parrot eggs. And by doing so, you need beetroot seeds. So, by feeding these guys the parrots beetroot seeds, and yes, it will take a lot. Eventually, you'll start seeing like the little heart symbol and stuff like that. There we go. So that you can make these guys very happy. And then they may, as a result, start making parrot eggs. Specific parrot eggs, according to the type of parrot that they are. There we go. And in this case, we've got red parrot eggs, blue parrot eggs, green, cyan, and gray are the different types. Plus there's, of course, a secret one that I'm not going to show you. But these guys will just, you know, do the usual parrot thing as you would. We'll just get them to kind of dance. Dancing parrots is always a good thing. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much a cool way of actually producing new parrots that is not in the vanilla Minecraft, is to just feed them a whole bunch of beetroot seeds. It will take some time for them to produce an egg probably a couple 3 minutes at least. And that's a chance for them to do it, not guaranteed. Okay, so here we go. Glowstone dust can now be placed on the ground, and at nighttime it illuminates, as you saw there. So therefore, it's just a really cool torch mechanic. You can now place it on the ground, just like this, and you can create your own like little lit up area. Instead of having a whole bunch of torches, you could have little yellow smears on the ground as you so wanted. And it will light up similar to a torch. So therefore, it's pretty darn cool. And here we have gunpowder. Plain old gunpowder can now be placed on the ground, and it will burn at like a couple blocks slowly, like a fuse, but it burns even faster if on a nether rack here. So let's do flint and steel on here, and you'll see it'll start burning, and it goes even faster as it progresses down here. So therefore you can have a much faster one if you want there, or just a really immersive way of doing this by launching things that way. So like, and of course, in your traditional sense, what is a fuse good for? Well, it's good for setting off explosions and other things like that. It's just really good in general. Now you can place it and make your own fuses. You don't need to use your redstone and launch things off that way. Instead, you've just got your burnable gunpowder, giving you another option. This next section is called Slime in a Bucket. Slime in a bucket, you say. So what good is a slime in a bucket? Well, first, how do you get a slime in a bucket? First, you might have to face the fearsome foe, a slime of some sort, and therefore face its babies. There we go. I'm now in survival. That should make it a little bit easier. And you just need a baby one, and then you scoop them up in a bucket. Finish off the rest. All right, there we go. They're all finished off. I have 6 slime balls left. Uh-oh, that's not really going to do much good. Well, I now have a slime in a bucket, which means I can find out where to get more. So, if you look here, I have marked a chunk that is a slime chunk. Now, I'm going to put this in my offhand as well, just because it's that much cooler when you've got 2 of them. But if I get a little bit closer to this, and let me bring up the chunk boundaries, once I cross this block area here, I should start activating the slime chunk detector. There we go, and you can see here, these guys start bouncing. It's even in your inventory and visible to other players, you see your little bouncing slimes. This basically is a slime chunk detector option. So once you are in a slime chunk, these guys will start bouncing up. And you can always put them back down and scoop them back up again if you so desire. So they are your friend that you can take with you in a bucket. Don't forget, you can also use those slime ball buckets as a replacement in a crafting grid if you so desire as well. But let's grab some of this stuff here I have. Okay, so back in creative mode, right? And you might be familiar with our good old friend, Mr. Snow Golem. Hello. And we're going to name our Snow Golem Vazkii, just because. I just pulled this name out of the air, right? And we're going to spawn ourselves in a witch. Why would we do this? Because we want to see, of course, the Vazkii witch battle. Which, I'm sorry, but Vazkii's probably going to die because Vazkii doesn't do any damage here. At least this Vazkii doesn't. Now, if we pull down the level here, you will start noticing, of course, the Snow Golem starts trying to defend the territory, and eventually the witch will start hitting the Snow Golem with some kind of negative potion, bad potion. Hopefully something that isn't just like slow. And she's a terrible shot as well. Maybe I helped the witch out by putting a wall back here so that splash potion is more likely to hit. There we go. That's better. But anyway, what is this going to allow you to do? This will allow you to get, there we go, heads. Player heads. In this case, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Boop. I now have Vazkii's head, and I can wear it as I so desire. There you go. Just a way of getting player heads. So you just need to name the player that you want to get the head of, and put it on that Snow Golem. Have them be killed by a witch. Quick note about the witch and the snowman is that if you use shears on a snowman to remove its pumpkin head, this will not work at all. Alright, so enough about this witch. Let's get you out of here and move on to the next section, which is going to be a little bit different. It involves the nether in this case. So this recipe is shapeless, but 3 soul sand and a soul bead, which is dropped from little like ghosty looking guys in the nether. will get you soul powder. So as you see here, we'll get you 1 soul powder. I have 2 here, but there's a reason I have 2, because I'm going to use 1. If you have the module turned off that will allow soul beads to drop, then you will have this still available to you with a magma cream in the recipe instead. So let's go to the Nether. And now that we're here, you can see that there is in front of me, basically you've got your Nether fortress. And what this is going to allow you to do is if you use this, let's go over here and use it. So it'll be a little bit more interesting. If you use this, it will guide you to the nearest Nether fortress, similar to how an Eye of Ender does, but a little bit different. So you right click, and this creates its own little like soul spirit that will therefore start spinning in the direction of the nearest, basically Nether fortress. So therefore that's just a way of finding them in the Nether. If you're having some difficulty, this might help you at least figure out the closest one and how to get there. This section allows you to throw dragon breath, or dragon's breath. And if you're not familiar with how to get it, you just basically use an empty bottle while the dragon is like breathing out purple particles like this. In the end battle, when you're fighting the dragon, you just kind of bottle it. And what's this good? What's this good for? You can throw it, right? It's awesome. Yeah, leaves particles. That's great. No, it does a little bit more than that. And as you see here, boop, it turns stone into end stone by hitting it with a bottle of the dragon's breath. So it does have another use in this case. And I'm in creative, so I have infinite uses of it. Otherwise, yeah, each one will use it once each time. Now let's go over utility recipes. These basically allow you to this allows you to craft a few recipes a little bit easier, or at least give you some variety on how to craft them. To start with, a dispenser. You can craft it in this manner here with a bow and a bunch of cobblestone and a redstone, which means you'd have to craft the bow first. In this case, you take a dropper and you craft the bow around it. So it's kind of interchangeable. You can basically do this because a dropper, if you look, is basically needs a bow in the center, and then it can be used in that case. So anyway, it basically adds in this recipe here. Now, if we go to the next one, the redstone repeater, this one I think is a fantastic recipe addition. This is my favorite. Instead of crafting a redstone repeater with redstone torches, because I never have redstone torches crafted, you can now just put a stick and redstone like so and make it in this fashion. This is the Quark recipe here, which is absolutely fantastic. And of course, the minecart with chest. You can therefore, instead of taking a minecart and a chest, you can actually craft an iron ingot, like half basically crafting the minecart in here with the chest, and you get it the same way. So it's just some 3 really easy quality of life recipes that were added. And now let's get into Wither Ash. So as you can see here, I am at basically the top of the world. There is not much that you can see below me, and this is an area. Oops, sorry, I've got a little snow in the area. This is just for demonstration purposes. This is not perfect. I couldn't create a void world without crashing. So I've got a bunch of mods installed, trust me. But if you see here, I have Wither Ash, which you can get from the Nether drops from withers and the like. And you can therefore put it on top of blocks, and mobs will not spawn on top of it. Or you can put it directly below blocks, and the layer that is directly above it, mobs will not spawn on, therefore allowing you a bit of decoration option. And then, of course, I've got this one here that's just your standard stone in an area. So to give an example, I do still have mobs spawning down below in the world, but up here I also have a bunch of mobs that are spawning, but they only spawn up here on this section because it does not have the Wither Ash in this setup or in this setup. So therefore mobs are not going to spawn here or on this area above the Wither Ash that are on that blocks. They'll only spawn in a regular area like this or in the world below, as I have set up, because it's not fully lit up down there, or else I'd have a lot more mobs. But that's the basic idea. So there you go, Wither Ash. So I think that should just about sum things up for this miscellaneous module. And I think that's where I'm going to end things here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to spread the mischief to others if you enjoy this kind of content too, or if you think that they might. And if you want to support the mischief, please feel free to check out the links in the description below. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.